You don't feel heavy when you're alone. You feel steady. There's no pressure, no guessing, no emotional risk hanging in the air. But when someone starts to care about you, really care, something shifts inside. Your chest tightens, your thoughts get louder. You start scanning for changes that haven't even happened yet. It's not that you don't want love, it's that being loved feels like standing on unstable ground. And sometimes you trust solitude more than you trust someone's affection. You probably describe yourself as independent. You handle your own problems. You rarely ask for help. You don't like feeling like a burden. You tell yourself you simply enjoy your space, and that's true. But there's another layer you don't always say out loud. When someone texts you something vulnerable, you pause before responding. When someone compliments you, you deflect it. When someone says they feel close to you, you subtly change the subject. Not because you don't care, but because closeness feels exposing. You might even notice this pattern. The moment someone becomes emotionally available, you start feeling unsure. If they seem too interested, you pull back. If they move closer, you create space. If they reassure you, you question it. You don't explode. You don't disappear dramatically. You just reduce your presence slightly. You take longer to reply. You become busy. You convince yourself the connection isn't right. And maybe sometimes it isn't. But sometimes the real discomfort isn't the person, it's the vulnerability. Being alone means no one can disappoint you. No one can misunderstand you deeply. No one can leave after seeing who you truly are. Alone, you control the narrative. Alone, your nervous system can rest. Love, on the other hand, asks you to be seen, and being seen has never felt entirely safe. For many people, this pattern forms slowly. It doesn't appear overnight. It develops quietly, often long before adulthood. Sometimes love felt unpredictable growing up. It was present, but inconsistent. Affection may have depended on performance. Attention may have depended on behavior. Closeness may have been followed by distance. Or perhaps vulnerability was met with silence, or criticism, or confusion. Over time, your system learned something subtle but powerful. Closeness can equal instability. So it adjusted. Instead of fully leaning into connection, you learned to stay partially guarded. Instead of expecting consistency, you prepared for change. Instead of depending on someone emotionally, you built emotional self-sufficiency. And that self-sufficiency probably helped you. It made you strong. It made you capable. It made you resilient. Many people who feel safer alone are highly functional. They're reliable. They don't fall apart easily. But that strength often has roots in adaptation. If, at some point, love felt unpredictable or painful, your mind and body did exactly what they were designed to do. They protected you. They found safety in control. They found safety in independence. They found safety in needing less. And over time, that protective response stopped feeling like protection. It just started feeling like your personality. But even the most intelligent protection carries a cost. When you're always slightly guarded, you never fully exhale in connection. You might be physically close to someone, sitting beside them, sharing space, but internally you're measuring, watching, preparing. You may tell yourself you don't need much from others, and maybe you truly don't ask for much, but late at night, in quiet moments, there can be a small ache. Not traumatic, not overwhelming, just a soft longing to be held emotionally, without fear of it disappearing. There's a unique exhaustion that comes from always being the composed one, the one who doesn't panic, the one who doesn't chase, the one who can walk away first. You've mastered the art of self-containment. You don't beg, you don't cling, you don't fall apart publicly, but you also rarely collapse safely into someone else's reassurance. You don't always let yourself be fully comforted. And over time, carrying your own emotional weight can become heavy, even if you don't admit it. There's also the contradiction. You crave depth, but depth feels dangerous. You want someone to choose you consistently, but when they do, you question their judgment. You value independence, but sometimes independence feels isolating. This tension isn't loud. It doesn't look chaotic from the outside. Your life might look stable, but internally there's often a quiet calculation happening. How close is too close? How much is safe to reveal? What if this changes? And because you function well, because you rarely make scenes, because you handle yourself, few people notice the effort it takes. If this feels familiar, there is nothing wrong with you. Feeling safer alone often means you learned early that emotional safety couldn't always be assumed, so you created your own. That isn't coldness, that's intelligence. It takes awareness to become self-reliant. It takes strength to regulate yourself when others couldn't. Many people who guard their hearts are deeply loving. They feel intensely. They care deeply. They just understand the weight of attachment. Your independence may not be a rejection of love. It may be a form of self-respect that developed when stability wasn't guaranteed. Your caution doesn't mean you're incapable of intimacy. It means you recognize how vulnerable intimacy is. And protecting vulnerability is not weakness. It makes sense that you protect what is tender. It makes sense that solitude feels peaceful compared to emotional unpredictability. It makes sense that control feels safer than surrender. Nothing about this makes you broken. It simply tells a story about how carefully you learn to survive connection. Maybe feeling safer alone doesn't mean you're meant to be alone. Maybe it simply means your heart learned to move slowly. You are not distant because you lack depth. You are careful because your depth matters. And there is nothing wrong with wanting safety before softness. Tonight, you don't need to change this pattern. You don't need to force yourself into vulnerability. Just notice it. With gentleness. Notice how it once protected you. Notice how it helped you stay steady. You are not broken for finding comfort in solitude. You are protective. You are thoughtful. You are self-aware. And sometimes, the walls you built were never about shutting love out. They were about making sure your heart could survive it.